Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Bruce?
Lionel?
Bruce?
Lionel.
I got my headphones on the wrong thing.
Oh. Does that make it a little tough to hear me?
No, I could hear you. I just couldn't hear you properly.
But it just sounded like far, far away.
But now I can hear you properly.
Oh, so it's better now? Check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Yeah. If we were a real...
Had a little lamb had she.
If we were a real podcast, I would have already been way ahead of myself and had that all corrected. And I was pretty proud of myself because I've gone from the northern studio back to the southern studio, and it all seems to be working.
Wow, there's a major advancement in
that's a
milestone right there. The southern studio is decided to cooperate with you.
Yeah, major advancement in technology.
There you go.
How are you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
I'm still feeling kind of tired and slow.
There we get the microphone noises from Scooter already.
Yeah, he's building tiny, teeny houses.
Yeah, I come into the studio and the first thing I met with is, "Oh, you're here finally." What time is it?
We had a good conversation.
Yeah, we had.
Yeah. Well, you weren't supposed to.
No, we had stuff that doesn't go on air.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
top secret stuff.
No, it's not top secret. It's not.
Oh, it's top secret.
It's not for public consumption. How's that?
What the heck?
That sounds important. That sounds important.
Yeah,
for your eyes only. For eyes only, right?
Put the microphone closer, Scooter.
But
what was that?
Man.
I think that's better for just the three of us.
Yeah.
Four of us doing an intro and an outro. This is the.
Where you been, Lionel?
Where have I been?
I've been waiting for you.
Well, it's not I said I gave you a specific time between this time and that time, and it's not that time yet. So what's the problem?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You were setting up the train show anyways that you never told us anything about.
I did.
When?
Yeah.
A while ago, I told you I was setting up for the train show.
A while ago today.
Yeah. You didn't get an invite on that one too?
Well, no, but when did did you know of this train show, Kelly?
Today, when I saw the picture.
Exactly. How about you, Bruce? When did you know about this?
The first I knew about it was when he said he was setting up tables for train show.
Yeah. So just
earlier on the day that we're recording this.
Yes, just a few hours ago, he told us about some train show that he's setting up. So he could have been given it hours and hours of free publicity.
Yeah.
And he never said not a single word about it. And he's mouthing off to me. And all
No.
Yeah.
That's wrong. That's not how it went down.
Oh, isn't it? Well, I thought you just...
I didn't honestly think that you guys would even come down to our little train show, so I didn't bother speaking of it.
So you think that the only people that listen to this podcast is just those of us who are on the podcast?
Well, yeah, but I would tell the people tonight about the train show, but it'll be too late when it's tomorrow. And
when did you know you'd be setting up tables for it?
Wednesday.
When did you know of this train show?
Monday.
You didn't know this train show existed until Monday?
Well, I did. I just didn't know when it was. I was told.
It's kind of like one of our anniversaries where June forgot
February, but I didn't know which day in February. I could have probably looked it up, but I knew they would be wanting the modules I have to set up, so they would be calling. So they did.
So this, we've been over this. This little golly shucks routine doesn't work anymore with us. You understand that, right?
I'm starting to have to figure out a new routine, I guess.
You could have been promoting this train show for the last 2 months to help your brain for free. You could have been promoting this train show for free.
Yeah,
I'm a simple loser. Sorry, everyone.
Well, Scott, what did you learn? You learned that for next year, the train show, that inform the top executive that the train show is this date, and we can give you some pluggage time well in advance.
That's what we'll do. Yep.
Yeah. At the show, we could have said, "Hey, you're going to be at the show."
That's right. We could have said. We could have told people you were going to be at the show. Are you going to at least wear your Modeler's Life shirt? Or are you going to be wearing?
I sure will, and I have buttons and pins to give out.
All right.
All right.
I wondered where all they went. Where all of those went.
Yeah, I like those things. I like handing them to people. They like, oh, thanks. What is this? And I said, tune in. You'll love it. And they'll go, we will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what kind of crowds do you estimate will be at this train show?
It starts tomorrow at 12. So tomorrow will be the not so busy day.
So it started last Friday.
Yep, last Friday, and it lasts till Saturday. But I would say probably 3,000 people will probably show up.
That's not bad.
Right.
So if you had taken advantage of the free publicity you could have given it, you could have probably doubled the number of people that went.
Yes, had you enrolled in the AML publicity program available to you.
Yeah, I will do that next year.
I believe you said that last year.
Yeah.
You think I did? We need to roll those tapes back.
I
may have.
So
you get the archivist on it.
Yeah.
So where is this show?
It's in Easley, South Carolina.
Is that near Crater?
Very close. What it is the Central Railroad Club. They put this on every year.
And where are they?
In Central
South Carolina?
Yeah, that's right next to Clemson.
Clemson.
5 miles.
Where Clemson University is.
Yeah.
Because I almost bought you a Clemson souvenir a couple of days ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but I figured if you don't care about publicizing any of our train shows, what's the point?
Well, that's not necessarily true, but okay.
You got to put some effort into it. You're not
I am.
You're not trying to lowball me on a piece of property with this thing. You're trying to promote this is different than taking advantage of somebody and buying their homestead for 20% below market value.
No, that's true. You're right. Yep, I have to agree with you on that one, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where? Oh, I see Central. So Central is up Highway 93, northeast of Clemson.
Yeah, and they have a really nice club there. It's really nice.
Okay, have you take some pictures or something?
I will. Hey, and also it's really neat if you ever come here. I'll take you over. There's a guy that bought a mobile home.
Yeah.
And he had it designed to where there's nothing in it. It's just a big open shell with one bedroom in one corner and a kitchen in the other.
Right.
And he built this humongous layout. I mean, it is amazing.
Really?
Yeah, he just lives there. He has a kitchen and then a bedroom with a little living area, like 16 foot on one end of the mobile home. This thing's like 75 feet long and probably 34 feet wide.
Wow.
And the rest of it's just one open big room, and he built a big 3-deck layout in there.
Nice.
When were you going to tell us that?
I'm telling you now.
Yeah. How long have you been on this podcast?
Well, I've never really thought to say anything about it. Okay. I'm telling you about it now.
Do you know the guy?
I know who he is. I'll be visiting with him.
Well, there you go. You should be talking about it. See, maybe be interested in coming on the podcast.
You're killing me here, buddy. You're killing me.
In a couple of weeks, I'll be going over to his house, and I'll
get some pictures and give him the contact info and
for an operating.
He's a cool guy
for an operating session.
No, his layout will be on open house when we have our NMRA meeting. It'll be over in that area this time, so we'll go visit his house.
Okay.
And that's in just a couple of weeks. And
this train show is in Easley, you said?
Yep.
Okay. Why do they have it way down there when the club is in Central?
It's not, but maybe 10 miles, maybe 15 miles at the most. Central, there's not a lot of big places to have a train show.
Okay. What about Liberty, South Carolina?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
These are those one red light towns.
Well, look at that. We've killed 10 minutes on this introduction. You've ruined the introduction to this show.
I'm sorry. I did it again.
Have you got Brad Williamson's station done yet?
No.
You were supposed to have that done like 2 months ago.
I know, but I've been busy doing other fun things.
Oh, yeah? Like what fun things have you done? You don't strike me as a fun thing kind of guy.
I've been painting a kitchen.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, believe me.
and they had a few days over for Springfield.
Yeah, I did that. But also, I don't know, I've just been busy doing other things. The weather's turned really nice all of a sudden.
Okay. So you've been outside.
In the weather. Yeah.
And you've been visiting your grandson, right?
No, he'll be here next weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I'm excited about that.
So last Wednesday was Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Yep.
So did you get your wife flowers?
Of course I did.
Attaboy.
Yep.
Did you take her out to dinner or anything?
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, no. We made dinner in.
Oh, jeez.
She actually made me dinner. I'm sorry.
Why is it so hard for you to just tell us what actually happened?
Well, that is what happened.
Well, yeah, after you told us something else. This is a pattern.
I took her out to dinner tonight, which would be the night after that. So.
Oh, okay. So you took her out to dinner last Thursday, which is the night after. You took her out to dinner last Thursday, which is tonight.
Yep. Well, actually, I met her on the way home from the train.
Oh, jeez.
So you met her last Thursday on the way home from the train show, which is actually tonight.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
It's very possible.
Yeah. Well, how is it possible that that you met her last Thursday, but it's tonight? You met her 4 days ago, but you're at the same time you're telling.
We're in the AML time travel now. I forget.
Yeah, he borrowed the TARDIS from Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think this is like year 10? How long do you think it'll be, Kelly or Mailboy? How long do you think it'll be before when we do one of these, that he'll grasp the fact that he has to talk in? It's like, you know what?
What?
Scooter.
Uh-huh.
Think of yourself as a 1960s teen idol.
Now we're talking.
Right. Who was your favorite 1960s teen idol? Who was your favorite group when you were a teenager?
My favorite group when I was a teenager. Let's see. There were so many.
I understand that, and we got to be home by, like, this is being released at 2:30 in the morning on Monday. So, we have to be home. We have to be home by midnight. So you only have like 20 hours to come up with this answer.
I would say Van Halen.
Okay.
Not a bad choice.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're watching Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, and they're doing their song and they're on TV, but they're lip syncing.
Oh.
So you know that they're lip syncing, but you're enjoying it. This is the same thing. When you're talking, you got to think it's like lip syncing. It's like podcast lip syncing. You got to think about, you took her out to dinner tonight, but in reality, it's last Thursday.
Right.
So you can't mix the two, right? Otherwise, if you start singing the wrong words at the wrong time, you lose the whole illusion of what it is.
Yeah. So we need to rewind.
We don't need to. You need to smarten up.
Okay.
You need to learn. You know what? Smarten up. That was rude, and I apologize.
No, that's true. I need to be a little more showman on this.
You need to learn. No, what have we learned here, Kelly?
We've learned it's always a week ahead.
No, we've learned that Scooter needs to lip sync.
There you go.
Yeah.
But that's kind of hard on an audio podcast, right?
Well, not really. Well, I'm using that as a generic term.
I know.
It's a figure of speech. Well, anyways, that's the introduction to this. Part one of the Springfield interviews.
Sorry.
Would you like to know who's on?
I would love to know who's on.
I want to know.
I do.
In no particular order, except I'm pretty sure I know which one is last, but in no particular order. Although I think we could go, we could almost do this, but it's Ray Pershing, who I've known for years. He's been an AMLer for years.
Yep.
We always talk about his son Steve, who is a little bit handicapped, and so he's very Ray's very proud of his son and how his son is trying to adjust to life, and as Steve gets old, and he's a huge CN fan, he's a huge railroad fan. So we're talking to Ray Pershing. We talked to Ken McQuarrie for about 10 minutes. We talked to Cale Leifert, who is a big Lego guy. He's a Lego guy.
He is a Lego guy.
Yeah. And I think he's in charge of everything Lego in model railroading. He has some sort of Lego magazine, I think. And he's president of some sort of Lego club, and he makes Lego things, boxcars and all that stuff. So it's very cool. And John Franz, or Franz. I always screw up the pronunciation of his name, but I just call him John Franz. Franz. That's how I pronounce it.
Hans and Franz.
We're going to make, what is it? How do they do it?
We're going to pump you up.
We're going to pump you up. And then finally, on this particular, this is Springfield Part 1, and these are all interviews I did at the booth. And finally, we listened to the lovely Lucy Dumont, who is the new social media manager of the NMRA.
Yes.
Wow, cool.
And she was very lovely, a great person to talk to, and I enjoyed that very much. And she has some interesting things to say, and we talked to her for like 30 minutes. And it was a great interview. And that's it. That's between talking to Scooter and doing this lineup, we're now out of time for the introduction.
There you go.
So do you know what we got to do now, Scooter?
I sure do.
Okay, go for it.
Well, I don't know what to do.
Well, then why would you?
Why we can't have nice things?
Why would you say? This is exactly what I was talking about. Why would you say you should?
Right, but if I would have done what I thought I should have done, you would have said, no, that's not what we do.
But you said, I asked you if you know what to do, and you said, sure do. So if you did,
positive.
So if you don't know what to do, why say you do know what to do?
Well, I didn't want to come across as a
Lionel.
Yeah.
Do you have any Tylenol of extra strength? Andy?
Yeah. Oh man, I got something better than that.
I need like a handful of them.
Yeah, I got something. I got something better than that. It'll take the pain away.
Perfect.
All right, I know what to do. I was just joking. I was trying to see if you were paying attention.
Oh, golly.
Bull roar. Bull. You are so full of crap.
No, I'm not. I'm serious.
You are full of crap. I'm serious.
Well, I am that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I'll agree with that one.
All right. Well, go ahead then.
All right. Subway chimes go.
Mosquito trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
Okay, here we are at Springfield. It's another spectacular interview. It might be the best interview we do the whole time at Springfield. Wouldn't you agree, Cale?
I hopefully agree.
You hopefully agree.
I hope so.
Oh, there you go. So we're with Cale, and I'm always worried that I'm saying your last name wrong. It's Leifert, right?
It's Leipart.
Leipart.
That's okay.
So how many times do you hear the podcast and go, no, it's Leipart, not Leifert?
It's not just the podcast. I hear it all the time.
You hear it all the time.
As long as it's close, I respond.
Yeah? You'll even respond to, hey, you, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So what capacity are you in at the big Springfield Exposition, Springfield Fair thing?
So I'm here this weekend with the LGMS group. LGMS stands for L-Gauge Modular System. L-Gauge as in Lego. We're a Lego train group.
So what do you call yourselves? The LGM system?
LGMS.
LGMS. Lego Gauge
modular system. It's think of it basically as Fremo for Lego.
Fremo for Lego.
Yeah, so
that sounds pretty catchy.
Yeah,
it's Fremo for Lego.
So yeah, we came up with a set of standards for building modules out of Lego. Yes.
And so I interrupted you there. I apologize for that, but that's what I do best. So is this group this Lego Gauge modular system?
Yes.
Is this a new organization?
We started organizing it in 2018 at the NMRA National Train Show in Kansas City that year.
Okay.
A group of us were displaying, and we thought, hey, it would be great if we had a way to coordinate all of our various layouts and be able to put them together in a bigger layout.
Right.
So a bunch of us met, after hours that weekend at the show and started coming up with a standard. And then we had our first display at a Lego convention in Chicago the next year, and we've been steadily growing it since. This is the second year we've had an LGMS layout here at Springfield. We are piggybacking off the local Lego club, New England Lego Users Group.
Okay.
So they've had their train layout here for several years now. So we've kind of joined up with them, and they set up their layout, we set up the LGMS layout, and we connect them together. And we have a big Lego train layout over in the we're over in the Mallory complex.
It's pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah. This year I think we're 30 foot by 80 foot.
Jesus.
And we have several running loops.
So how many members does this LGMS have?
I think at the show this weekend, there's maybe about 15 of us that are directly involved with the LGMS side, and then there's probably at least another 10 or 15 New England Lego users group
how many
members.
members are there in the LGMS?
So LGMS, we don't have membership in the LGMS. It's a standard that we came up with.
Okay.
But a lot of us are built to that standard. So we have an LGMS Discord group that we organize.
Okay, Discord group. How would somebody join that?
So if you go to we have a website for LGMS. LGMS.org.
LGMS.org.
Yeah, go to the website. You can find all the information. It should have a link to the Discord group, Facebook group, all of that. It also has the published standards, lists of upcoming shows, and that sort of thing.
Oh, so it's a legitimate. It's not necessarily dues and all that, but you've got yourselves organized to a point where there's a website.
It's purely a standard, but we organize. Displays under the LGMS name.
It's a way for you guys to get together in a semi-organized fashion and keep track of each other. And
so when we have a show coming up that one of us wants to do a layout out, we'll just put out a call on the Facebook and the Discord and say, hey, we're planning this show. If anyone is interested and wants to bring a module, let us know. We'll try and work you in the plan.
And that's I'm assuming, where would you guys mostly be concentrated, in the Northeast?
There's a bunch of us in the Northeast here. So there's a group of us that do the Timonium Train Show.
Okay.
That show's 3 times a year. We usually have a layout set up for that. We've been, this is our second year up here at Springfield, so hopefully we'll keep coming back for that. And then, at various Lego conventions, we've set up, there's been LGMS layouts done. And then last November, I went out to the Oklahoma City Train Show in November, and there was a big LGMS layout out there with the Oklahoma guys and Arkansas guys and Texas guys that are out that way. So
I think Lego model railroading has a huge place in the hobby of model railroading.
I would like to think so. I mean, I was just telling someone earlier this morning who was talking to us, how many layouts here can say that their layout is 100% scratch built?
Yeah.
Everything down to the train cars, buildings, the little vehicles and everything we scratch built. I
often wonder, if you've built a boxcar or even a locomotive, say, 10 years ago, and you get tired of it, you just take it apart?
Yeah, sometimes, yes.
Wow.
So I've had models that I built years ago that I've disassembled and recycled and used the parts in new models. Yeah. It's sometimes newer parts come out and better designs, and as you get better as a modeler,
right,
you can build better modelers. Build better models.
Sure.
So your older stuff sometimes I'm kind of done with this. I'd like to use those parts for something new, and that's one of the great things about Lego is, you can take apart an old model, or you can even modify an old model. Something you want to change. It's it's a very friendly medium for that sort of thing.
Now, don't you guys? I remember when the very first time we talked, you have some sort of a magazine or something for Lego.
So I run a website in a store called Brick Model Railroader.
Right.
So I actually sell instructions for Lego train models, box cars, flat cars, and that sort of thing. So you can purchase the instructions, and you can build box cars, build a Pullman PS1 box car, for instance.
Right.
And they also sell decals for those cars, so you can buy decals to letter them for various railroads. And then
wasn't there an organization or something of Lego?
So,
spill it all out here, Kale. We might as well find out what's going on.
Well, there's various Lego clubs. I'm a part of PennLug, the Pennsylvania Lego Users Group.
What's that one?
I'm a part of PennLug, the Pennsylvania Lego Users Group. So there's various clubs across the country.
Pennsylvania Lego Users Group.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's no national Lego or worldwide Lego train thing?
No, there's no national organization for Lego trains. A lot of us have talked about it, trying to get something together, but
you're doing okay the way you are. I think that's it. Okay, let me ask you this question. I think the key to the future of the NMRA is to recognize the new world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it is, you take the Iron City N-Scale guys, they've built this huge group from just basically dust, and they stay connected through Facebook and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like that's what you guys are starting to do with the modular group. You got the website, you got the guys organized, and yet there's no dues, there's no nothing. It's just come out and have fun.
Yeah, we're just a group of like-minded Lego train builders. We stay in touch over Facebook and various forums, and we just
So, all right. Well, let's finish with this question. As with every other aspect of the model railroading, you come to this show and the manufacturers have the new and hottest thing going.
Mm-hmm.
What's the newest and hottest thing going in Lego?
So one of the things we've started experimenting with and started doing with our locomotives.
Right.
Was it 2022? Soundtracks came out with their Bluenami system.
Right.
Are you familiar with that?
I know of it, yeah.
DCC system you can operate over Bluetooth with your phone.
Yeah.
So we've started putting Bluenami systems in our locomotives now, so we can have sound and lights and everything controlled through our phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I bet that's pretty cool.
It is. So I have 2 locomotives that I've put Bluenami systems in, 2 steam locomotives that I have here at the show that I'll be running, and the adding lights and sound to the model adds a whole new dimension.
Yeah,
of fun.
that would be cool. That would be cool.
So a lot of us are really getting into that now and trying to add, adding that into our models and, just.
That's a big part of the draw of the hobby to them. I mean, how old of a fella are you?
Would you believe I'm 47?
47?
Yeah.
Man, you're old. But even 47, there's so much happening that makes the hobby exciting now for people of all ages. It's always been that way, but it's got a whole new energy to it, I think.
I think so. I mean, just in our little Lego train world, one of the nice things is we have a lot of younger builders coming in, and we have a lot of younger builders in our circle.
Yeah.
And they're really good.
And the thing about that is, maybe they stay in Lego their whole life, but when you guys come and set up at shows, you're exposing them to the rest of the hobby.
Oh, yeah.
And you probably lose some crossover guys and do some regular.
A lot of us are into other scales. I've been dabbling in HO scale a little bit. I actually in in the process of joining I'm in the process of joining my local HO Model Railroad Club in York.
Right.
And I've started working on a small little. I got one of those Build the World kits from Walthers.
Oh yeah.
That. It's like a 6-month kit. Like they send you a kit every 6 months. And you build up this little. I think it's 2 foot or.
A little, yeah. So it's 2x2 or something.
Yeah, something like that. I forget the exact size. So I just started that back in December. So I've been dabbling in HO a little bit, but Lego is still my main thing.
Well, sure. Yeah. All right. Well, we've talked for almost 14 minutes. So we can't let you occupy the whole day.
Okay.
And you got to get back to shopping. What are you shopping for?
Well, I actually just bought a T-shirt.
Oh, that boy.
So the New England Steam Corporation, the guys restoring Maine Central 470.
Perfect.
So
all right.
I bought a shirt from them.
That's it. So do you know how to? You know what to say? Do you? How often? I'm assuming you listen to the podcast and some of them twice. Do you know what to say between one segment and the other?
Subway chimes go.
Okay, make sure you keep the microphone here.
Right.
And so now we're going to talk to a fella named Ray Pershing, who we haven't said hardly one word to each other today, and we haven't seen each other probably since last year.
Well, actually, we probably haven't seen each other since Indianapolis NMRA National.
Holy mackerel. How many years ago was that?
2016.
Wow. We haven't seen each other for 7 years?
Well, I was in the UK for 5 years.
Yeah, I know that.
I was out of
town.
town.
You kind of seem to wander in and out of my life. So I was thinking, well, maybe I'd seen you a year or two ago, but I guess not.
Well, a little bit of me goes a long way, so it's quite memorable.
Well, you do wander into my life because of the new electronic means of staying in touch and everything. And, I mean, I talk to so many people, I can't think, well, when did I last see Ray? But the beauty of our relationship is we met years and years and years ago, and you had your son with you. His name is?
Steve.
And how do you describe Steve? What's the correct way? What's the socially correct way?
I'm not sure there is a socially correct way.
Okay.
But he is special needs. He had a neonatal traumatic brain injury.
Right.
Because of a very rough birth. But he is outdoing everything the doctors ever thought he could do, and he loves trains.
Yeah.
He's absolutely mad for trains.
And I think the first time we ever met, you had Steve with you, and I was kind of fell in love with him myself, and I thought, and that's how you and I have kept our relationship going over these years, is just talking about Steve and talking about trains and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I think he still has that Leaf shirt you sent him.
I know.
Back in, oh, God, how many years ago was that? That's been at least 10 or 15 years.
What size shirt does he wear?
Now probably a large.
So let's make sure we give him an AML shirt. Give you an AML shirt to take to him before.
He would love that.
I'm sure he would. Who wouldn't?
Oh, no. I mean, it is the fashion accessory of the model railroading season.
Exactly.
Or any season.
Exactly. So, all right. So are you, where are you living these days?
I am back in the Dayton, Ohio area.
Okay.
So we are working towards retirement, 2 years, 5 months, and 6 days. Not that anybody is counting. At which point we're going to relocate again down to Cincinnati because that's where our community theater base is.
Okay, and that's right. You're in community theater.
Yeah, and then I'm going to not only get myself re-involved with that crowd, but I'm going to put the big home layout back up.
Good. And what is the home layout about?
The home layout is a transitional era Appalachian railroading, Appalachian coal country. So, from Dayton, Ohio, and if you grow up with the Virginian and Ohio and the OMAS and the Durham and Southern and things like that, you can't help but fall into Appalachian coal railroading.
Right. So, and how big would you hope? What would your maximum size of this layout be?
How big is the basement?
So
the previous incarnation was 14 by 30 feet with an adjoining staging yard and workshop.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. The wife knows what the goal is. She has not said no, and so we will see what happens.
Well, you and your wife enjoy the community theater together too, don't you?
Well, very much so, yes.
Yeah. So, what exactly is it? You're a contract worker for the military or something?
I work for the United States Air Force.
Okay.
And as I said, I've been there for a long, long time, and getting close to retirement.
Right.
So right now, it's a question of knowing that the sunset's in sight, trying to position themselves so they can carry on the work that I've been doing when I'm gone.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it like IT work or something?
Modeling and simulation.
Oh, cool. That'd be kind of interesting. So let's ask this question. So while you were stationed in England for 5 years, how did you keep the modeling juices going?
Well, my friend Sam Swanson, a number of years ago, kind of sucked me into the Great Lakes Module Group, which does main HON30 modeling.
Okay, where are they located primarily?
They are primarily Ohio, Michigan area. It's a group of modelers that get together and do a lot of the shows in that area. So do probably 4 shows a year.
Okay.
But before I went over to the UK, and with the big home layout having been torn down, I started working on some modules for that. And so I continued working on that while I was in the UK, packed them up, put them over on the boat, and which showed up in Charleston just in time for the hurricane to hit. But 2 weeks later they showed up, and surprisingly minimal damage given the journey they had taken.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But they're reassembled. They're on their feet. The electrical mostly works. Just a little bit of scenery damage, so I'm getting started back on those.
How big are the modules?
There's 2 2x4 foot modules and 1 30-inch by 6 foot module.
And so does that keep you, for others that don't have the opportunity to build a big layout, do you find that having those modules keeps you interested in the hobby? And
Oh, absolutely. When I was in the UK, space in a UK apartment being relatively tight, I could set one up and work on that. And then when I was done working on whatever aspect of that one is, I could tear it down, put the next one up.
Yeah.
So you can do it in very limited space. And the other nice thing about doing modules is that it allows you to go to a really high level of detail, because your attention is focused on these 8 square feet.
Yeah. All right, that's good. What else should we talk about? If you rebuild the big layout, what will it be? HO, obviously?
It'll be HO. It'll still be Appalachian coal country transition because of all the equipment I have.
Yeah.
But again, it will probably be focused on switching. I almost said shunting. I was in the UK for too long. Be focused on switching, but it'll have through capability as well, just because even if you're doing mine runs back and forth to a marshalling yard, that marshalling yard needs to cope with the fact that there are through trains coming through.
Yeah.
And so that will provide a significant amount of interest. If you think back to what Tony Kester did with the Coal Fork extension way back in the day,
right,
it would be something like that.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. No, we're going to get a shirt for Steve. You're going to say hey to Steve. Hi, Steve. And we'll go from there. And we'll see you again the next time.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, say goodbye, Steve.
Goodbye, Steve.
Okay, so now we're sitting here at the big what do you call this show?
The Amherst Model Railway Hobby Show, I believe, is what John Sacredoti calls it.
That's not what I said. I said, what do you call this show?
I just call it the Amherst Show.
There you go. We're at the Amherst Show, according to John France. You say France, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Not France.
Can't you say strange, not strange?
Yeah. Well, there's no extra letter on mine.
Well, true.
Okay, it's John France of Rapido Trains.
No, sir. I am now. I decided to leave Rapido Trains at the end of the summer, and I'm here this weekend hanging out with my good friends at Spring Mills Depot.
Who, what?
I'm hanging out with my good friends Spring Mills Depot.
Oh, okay.
From Maryland.
Where are they? What store building are they in?
So they are in the Mallory building in the short portion in the front up against the wall past the Dry Hill Terminal Modular Railroad.
Okay, yeah, I haven't interviewed those guys ever. I keep thinking I should get over there and interview them because they got lots of cool stuff. It's Spring Mills Depot.
Yes, sir.
.com, probably.
It actually, they did a short URL, which is smd.cc.
SMD.
.cc.
What's CC?
SMD.com was taken, so they found some island nation somewhere that it was short, and that's where they got the URL from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They should have gone .ca. That's what I always do when I'm trying to look for a URL. I just add .ca.
Yeah, go to Canada.
Yeah, just go to Canada. Eh? Take off. All right. So are you still in the model railroad industry?
Yes. So I still help out Spring Mills Depot as their artist, both doing art for their cars they do, as well as when they would do ads in magazines, I would do that for them as well. And then I'm still doing decals with Mount Vernon Shops. I'm still doing vinyl lettering for restoration of full-size rail cars. Actually, it's pretty cool. About a month ago, the Strasburg Railroad emailed me to do vinyl lettering for a car for them that they recently purchased.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's the car?
They bought a former Pennsylvania Railroad F30A flat car, which is similar to one you can buy at Rapido Trains.
Okay.
And then, so they knew I had the lettering, and I'm working on some things for them right now.
So, and tell us about your decal company or decal company
So
again.
my decal company, I like to sell decals for shekels.
Decals for shekels.
Is Mount Vernon Shops. And,
are you doing 2 shows a day here, or what is the decals for shekels?
And so I'm, doing that and having fun and still working full time.
So what is the decal shop called?
It's MountVernonShops.com. Yes.
MountVernonShops.com.
Yep.
Can't go wrong with that. So really, between doing some full-size graphics, primarily for restoration railroads, scenic railroads, that kind of thing, running your Mount Vernon Shops decal company, which is actually a really going concern. I highly recommend anybody go there. They might find something. And what about if somebody wants something made, some sort of decal made, can they contact you?
Yeah, depending on what it is, they can email me, and I'll take a look at it, see if it's within my capabilities. And I take on custom stuff all the time. That I've had people that are, most of my regular products are in HO, but I have people that are in N scale or S scale or O scale say, "Hey, you do this, but I need it in this scale. Can you do it for me?" And you can blow it up or shrink it and make it all work.
And how long have you had Mount Vernon Shops?
I've had Mount Vernon Shops since 2004.
Wow, so 20 years.
Yes. It's been 20 years of fun, learning about the hobby, the graphics programs to go behind it and all that. And, of course, when I'm not doing that, I'm building a layout.
So, we got to get back to that. You got this layout you're building. Yeah, don't let me forget. But I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
See if I word it right. See if I word it in any way that makes sense. Because, in actual fact, while the podcast, the AML Nation podcast, Modeler's Life podcast, has become a fantastic resource for people to find each other, get together, have infotainment, blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure I'm really the one qualified to be the host because I have trouble making questions. But anyways, I'm interested in this because you've had a little tiny company for 20 years now that's, have you done it mostly because it's fun or to make money?
I've done it more for the fun. You preach it all the time, and it's very true. This hobby is all about fellowship, and it's fun to make those connections with people. And then it becomes hey, you did this for me. It looks awesome. I'll tell all my friends. And I have, as I said before when you interviewed me, this summer about Mount Vernon Shops, that I have people that know to expect good quality, well-researched product from me. And that's part of the fun. That I could do something, but I want to understand it, get the minutia behind it, understand all the details. So this way, when I do a decal set that's in my regular line, it's the most well-researched you can get, and I try and provide that information in my instruction sheet, so this way people understand what they're doing. And this way you can do the oddball every now and then, but you can also do a fleet car, and it's accurate.
And plus, like you say, the friendship, what the bonus of this, it's just the friendships you make, because they start out as customers, a lot of people.
Yes.
And end up as friends.
Oh, yeah. I had that happen yesterday. I got here yesterday to help Spring Mills set up. And, just walking around. So my father's with me this weekend.
Oh, cool.
For his first time.
Is this his first time?
Yeah. He heard all the hype. Last year he said something to me after I got back that he wanted to come up. And after I left Rapido,
I sat down with him one weekend. I said, "Were you serious? You want to come up?" And he goes, "Yeah." So then I looked up where the AML headquarters hotel was and made my hotel reservations back in August, and here we are. So, and then I talked to the Spring Mills guys and said, "Hey, I'll be up for the weekend. Get me
passes.
Get me passes. Get me parking passes." And here we are. So my dad's around here for his first time, wandering around buying things. That retirement expendable income thing.
So does he have a layout, your dad?
He does. He has a small 22 by 15 foot layout that actually I designed for him.
Oh, that's right. I remember you telling me that. All right, now we're going to get, we've said the magic word. Now we're going to get to it, your layout, which is called, the railroad's called?
It's currently called the Railroads of York County in the 1970s. However, I have news for you, sir.
Okay.
When we talked about this before, I told you that, I'm experimenting with things, and if I ever have problems, make mistakes, I'm willing to accept that, make the changes, and move on.
Right.
This will sound weird for some people because they'll say, "Oh, I have socks older than you." Well, in March I turned 40. I've realized that as I've been building that while my layout is what I plan to do is neat and would be pretty cool, it might not be achievable.
Okay.
4 decks, 4 helixes, oh my God, that can be a lot.
Yeah, I would say so.
So I've actually decided to tear down and redesign and rebuild.
Because I remember when you told me it was 4 decks and 4 helixes, I remember thinking to myself, this guy's nuts.
Well, we're all nuts.
Exactly.
I've decided to, I found there's a website online called Appalachian Railroad Modeling.
Oh, man, how cool is that?
.com. Yes, I love it. Just tons of really neat stuff with coal modeling all over the...
Let's tell them again. It's Appalachian
RailroadModeling.com. It's a website by Dan Bork. He did a really cool track plan on it that I liked, and I basically took it and modified it to fit my space.
Okay.
So now I'm taking my private road name, which is the Tuckahoe Valley Railroad.
Right.
And I'm doing a single track with passing sidings in Central Pennsylvania Railroad model based on that. And I'm doing some interchanges with some friends, part of Freelance Roads. I'm still interchanging with Conrail and Chessie. But this is going to be a lot more achievable for me to do in my lifetime and have fun with a small group of guys operating.
Yes. Okay, so what was it? Do you remember the moment when you kind of went, like, what was it that kind of drove you to that moment?
Well, I completed one of the helixes and then, was running trains and saw some transitions were going weird. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to rebuild a helix. And then I started looking at things and I'm like, 4 decks. And unfortunately, the hobby hasn't gotten any cheaper. So I'm looking at all the cost of wood and the cost of turnouts and the cost of everything else. I'm like, maybe I need to scale back a bit. And then I looked again at this, this track plan that Dan Bork done on Appalachian Railroad Modeling. And it's, I can make this work. Always go back to rule number 1. It's my basement, my railroad. I only have to answer to me. And so I decided, let's do something smart and take a step back and reevaluate the situation and do something different. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, so this is an important question for all our thousands of listeners out there, because I know there are some people in the same boat as you. Did you find it debilitating or did you find it defeating when you finally decided to do that?
I think initially there was some reservations behind it because, it'd be cool to do my hometown, but then to the same degree, think about it on the long game that, I have something now that I know I can complete within my lifetime.
Right.
And still have fun doing it. I love the operations, and I basically, while the Appalachian Railroad Modeling.com, a lot of the track plans are coal-based, I did what many freelancers do, and I'm sure you do the same thing, that, hey, I want a paper mill instead of a coal mine, so a paper mill is going here. I want a quarry, so instead of a coal mine, a quarry is going there.
Yeah.
This way you can do what you want, and you can't be wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you another question then. I had a really good question to go with, so it wasn't deflating, it was more energizing than deflating.
Yep.
Once you get over that part of...
Oh, yes. Yes. It was fun to come up with something that I know I can do, and it will make me happy.
This is a pretty good interview.
Aren't they all good?
Yeah. Yours are especially good. But would you mind if we stop now so I can talk to Ken McQuarrie?
Hey, I will be more than happy to yield to Ken McQuarrie.
All right.
I get to operate with him every now and then, too.
Exactly. We yield the floor to Mr. McQuarrie. And do you know what to say now?
Goodbye, John.
Okay, so now we're at the, what do you call this show?
I call it the Amherst Show.
A little closer with the microphone.
Yeah. I call it the Amherst Show.
Okay, because lots of people call it the Big E, the Springfield Show, the this and that. So I ask everybody. So Amherst Show is the simplest.
Yeah.
So did you drive up here today? You stay in a hotel? What's the deal?
No, we came up yesterday. I've been coming here since 1996.
So you've been coming here almost 30 years.
I missed, the year of COVID I missed, and I missed last year because of health issues.
That's right.
But that's it. This is every other year I've been here, since when it was only 2 buildings. So,
really? You were here when it was 2 buildings?
Yep. That's all it was. Yeah, the Mallory wasn't used. And I guess it might have been 3, but it was the Stroh, the Better Living, and the Young. That was it. The Mallory wasn't even used.
And now the Mallory's almost full.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yep.
John says it's 350,000 square feet, 4.5 acres.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, if you have a step meter on, it's a good way to get your steps in.
Oh, that's for sure.
And see trains.
Are you shopping for anything in particular this week?
I bought a book on the Buffalo Creek Railway so far, and talked to the guys at Caboose Industries about doing a new style hand throw with the big handle, the safety type handle.
Okay, yeah.
And I basically just talk to some people, meet people.
Now, can I ask, if I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I get an honest answer?
Sure.
Because I'm interested. Because this fascinates me.
All right.
I'm partly annoyed and partly fascinated by this. As you walk through this crowd, do you have a lot of people recognize you as Ken McQuarrie?
No.
Yeah, I think you're like the greatest secret in all of model railroading.
Good.
Yeah, except you enjoy. You enjoy people knowing about the railroad too.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh, are you that guy that has the barn?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm the guy that has the barn."
Yeah.
Yep. So
we gotta rectify that. More people need to see that railroad. It's so fantastic.
The Wiz is taking our picture.
Yeah, the Wiz is taking our picture. And I didn't have my shades on. Don't ever take my picture without my shades on.
All right, there you go.
There we go. Now he's taking our picture. There, look at that. Beautiful.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Sorry about that. There's always rules.
Had to sign a release.
You, of anybody, Rich, should know about the rules. So I hear somebody. So our buddy Bruce Kelly came up to me and said that you're selling your steel mill.
Yeah, part of it, just the west end or the hot side.
Why are you doing that?
I'm a builder at heart,
right?
And I've run out of projects. And most of I scratch built the blast furnaces and the BOF and the electric arc furnaces, probably 20 to 25 years ago, and I've been looking at them. And I said, I think I'd rather do something else different in here. And so I'm going to build actually a general where the blast furnaces are right now, but we'll be gone soon. The General Motors Tonawanda engine plant is going to be put there.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
And since I have a Corvette and the engines on the Corvettes all came out of Tonawanda, it's sort of like, okay, a little bit of history for me at least.
Oh, there's a sky scorcher in Cheektowaga. But you've never been to Buffalo.
No,
you and I should make a point of going to a restaurant in Buffalo.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder how many hours it would take you. Probably 6 to get to Buffalo.
I don't know. Actually, I need to really get up and visit Jim Scores up at NCE too.
Yeah.
And one of the Penske caboose I used to own, cabin car, is actually in the museum in Rochester.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Well, that's not too interesting.
No. So it's there's some things there's for a reason for me to go.
There are reasons to go, and going to visit Jim Scores is a good reason. He's a fine man. People need to know that Jim Scores, the owner of NCE, is a fine individual, and you'll never go wrong dealing with him.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
So I got a question for you that I actually was just asking John Franz. So you're taking out a fairly large chunk of your layout.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it to be a bit deflating, or are you more excited about, like what is the trigger for somebody that's built something that's been established and finally go, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you're being destructive, or do you just feel like you're energizing your juices?
I'm energizing my juices.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's a part of me that is a builder, and I know at this point in my life, at my age and the size of the railroad, I'm not going to tear the thing down and build another one. So It's like, well, I'll just modify what I've got.
Right.
So.
It's a matter of keeping your hands busy and seeing what you can do.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of the satisfaction of model railroading is like it's fun to build something and have it sit there and look at it, but really it's the journey of getting the thing done. That's the real.
Yeah, and it's funny because I mean, I built the buildings I built, the blast furnaces and such, they're all full size. They're not the Walthers kits. So I mean, the blast furnaces are, two of them together are about 6 feet long, about 2.5 feet wide, and are about almost 4 feet high. And you look at the amount of real estate they take up and the operations, and they sort of get in the way of operations, to be honest with you. You got these giant buildings. And the nice thing is, when the west end of the steel plant goes away, which is I call the hot side, I'll still have the traffic there because the GM plant will be about 2.5 feet wide and about 12 feet long.
Wow.
And inside the plant is going to be a staging yard, and all the traffic that used to go to the west end of the plant will go in the staging yard. So the railroad traffic will still be there, but the buildings won't.
Okay. When you say staging, will it be locomotives and cars, or just cars inside?
No, usually like a cut of, like when the ore train comes in, there's usually a train of coke. There's usually a train of limestone. The GM plant itself will have 3 tracks for inbound and outbound stuff. But I built enough tracks in there where, when the main Mineral Springs yard gets ready to send something over to South Buffalo West, which is what works it, because he asked, it was Eric Craig, he said, well, is my job going away? I said, no, you're going to do the same thing you used to do, but the blast furnaces won't be in your way. So,
and so here's an interesting question, I think. What do you think it's worth to sell it?
Well, I've already sold the electric arc furnace. I sold one of the ingot strippers, the ingot prep. I haven't sold the blast furnaces. I know what it cost me to build them, at least as far as plastruct and evergreen and everything else. For the blast furnaces, and you get both blast furnaces, the stoves, you get all the conveyors, they're conveyor fed, and all the conveyors, the junction houses and everything else. I'm asking $1,800, but it's
very negotiable.
It's negotiable. It's
because I think modelers have a tendency to overprice stuff only because they think about how much time they put into it.
Oh yeah, you really can't. I mean, I mean, how many thousand hours I put in those things, but
yeah, exactly.
It's like, the thing is, today if you could find one of the Walthers kits, which is about a third of the size of mine, each one.
Right.
They're going for $200 or $300, and then you got to build it. These are done.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to have something. These were built off of Mike Rabbit's plans, so they're the plans came from they're a real 3,000 ton per day,
right,
Paul Worth conveyor fed blast furnace. So,
and one question I didn't ask you, I didn't feel like we got in depth to. Because we were just getting to know each other. But now we're like, I'd say we're good enough friends that if I wanted to drive the Vet, you'd be like, oh, sure, knock yourself out.
Yeah, it could happen.
I don't know. Okay, we're getting there. So the question I was going to ask you is, don't tell me, let me guess. It was about rebuilding the blast furnaces.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to come back to it because I'm a big. I think people get demoralized by this hobby when they start to build a big layout. Like we were just talking to John Friends, and he got in way over his head and stuff like that. And I don't know what I was going to ask you. Look at that. I knew I would remember.
All right.
It's all part of the same thing. Like last time, we never got around talking like you built these extra levels. Like in some parts of the layout, you've got 3 and 4 levels.
Yeah, there's one area that has 5.
5. And like, how the hell do you even maintain that? Like, how do you get in there and maintain it?
Well, if you build it right the first time, I have very, very few issues with track. The biggest thing you really have an issue with usually is after a number of years of operating is usually either, switch points not making contact or something mechanical in the turnout or a switch motor dying. I mean, I've actually worn some tortoises and Hank scraps out. So, but the biggest issue then is how much of a pain did I make to get back into, take the old one out and put the new one in its place. But,
right.
Most of the, I use it, the vast majority of the layout is at code 100 Atlas Flex Track, and, that lasts forever.
Exactly.
So it's if I was going to build it all over again today, I'd probably use code 83. But then,
that's what I used when my layout that I started in 1980, and it's like it did the job. And it really, once you weather it, and it doesn't make that much difference.
Yeah, I tell people for 17 thousandths of an inch, I didn't think it was worth the effort.
Exactly.
So.
All right, Ken, it's been another fun time. We killed like 12 minutes talking.
That's good.
And we'll be talking much more on the podcast as the years go by.
All right, we can do that.
All right, say goodbye, Ken.
Goodbye, Ken.
Okay, now we're talking with a lady named Lucy.
Lucy Dormont, that's me.
I had a dog named Lucy.
You did. You know, that's funny. Everyone always tells me they have a dog named Lucy. I should have chosen better. Or my parents should have chosen better.
I don't think it was up to you.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, yeah, not really.
You were there, but you really didn't have a say in this situation.
I don't think so. Actually, my real first name is Lucretia. I go by Lucy.
Oh.
So my real first name is even stranger. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
So who are you?
I am Lucy Dormont. I do social media management for the National Model Railroad Association. I just started in August. But before that, I was involved with Meridian Rails Historical Society, founded a museum there, was working on a restoration project, and we moved to Memphis. So it was time for a little bit of a career change.
So why did you start... what did you say you started at the Meridian Historical Society?
Yeah, so I actually founded that nonprofit back in 2020. It's kind of a strange story. I actually never liked trains, had nothing to do with them.
Right.
But my son, who is 6 now, I have a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old, they were really into the Choo Choo Bob show at the time, and I was forced to watch it. So I got bit by the bug. And if you've never seen the Choo Choo Bob show, it's hysterical. It's great. Still have it on YouTube. I still watch it as an adult.
Okay, now the only thing I'll tell you, Lucy, is speed kills. Talk a little slower. Talk a little slower.
Thank you.
What'd you say it was? The Bob Choo Choo?
The Choo Choo Bob show.
Choo Choo Bob.
It's on YouTube, and you have got to watch it. It's hysterical.
Okay.
It's for kids, but adult humor is also there.
All right. Okay. And so they were watching this.
They were watching that, and I, at the time, was doing graphic design, and I had a friend. We lived in Meridian, Mississippi, and if you don't know, it was a railroad town, and I found out that there was no railroad museum there after researching that the town was founded on the railroads, and I had to fix that. And that was my death sentence, I joke, because that was the moment that I got into railroading and I will never get out. So I started that nonprofit in 2020. We were working on a restoration project with a Baldwin 280 consolidation that was built by the Susquehanna in New York.
A little slower.
Sorry.
We're not on a time crunch here.
I know. So we were working on a restoration project, so I have a little bit of backing in the museum and the preservation side, but I'm a brand new modeler. So I had a club there that was just so wonderful in our museum. So they let me come plant happy trees, but that is pretty much my extent at this moment.
So you started the Meridian Historical Society.
Meridian Rails Historical Society.
Because your son liked a YouTube show.
It was a little bit more than that. You know, I grew up with girls. I no boys around. And they joke that fighter pilots, my husband's pilot, don't make boys. And somehow I ended up with 2 boys. And I didn't know what to do with them. So when we started watching this show, I was like, okay, well, let's do something. That was our way to bond.
Okay. All right. And then you discovered that the town didn't have a historical society, and you discovered the town was, and you just took it upon yourself to create this.
Well,
and what kind of response did you get?
It's kind of crazy because we had a group of modelers that were in that museum before, and they didn't have their agreement correctly contracted, so they were kicked out of that museum, had to tear down their beautiful, beautiful layout. It was an HO layout. They were really the reason I did it. We had to fight the city to get the building back because the city had wrongly kicked them out of that building. And we won. We threatened to sue the city, and we ended up getting the building back, and they were able to come in and start a new layout for us and never be at risk for getting kicked out again. But when that happened, we got the building donated back. Randomly, the adjacent property to us was a cotton compress warehouse. It still houses the 2 original boilers and the wooden structure design. He donated it to us. So overnight, Lucy, who knew nothing about trains, nothing about nonprofit management, has $1 million worth of property assets and a big old goal. So I bit off quite a bit in the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah. Oops. My husband's still saying, oops. No. So when he got his job, he works at FedEx now. Unfortunately, we had to relocate, so I did hand off the society. I built all their website. I didn't know how to do graphic design, so I taught myself a lot of stuff through that.
Okay.
And I came for the trains. I stayed for the people. I think the crazy thing was once I started, I just was this little Lucy that knew nothing, and I don't know if they felt sorry for me or if they were laughing at me, but they just took me in, and they just took care of me. And so being a military wife, that's family. And when you don't have family in town, you just cling to that. And so Meridian became that for us because I knew that if my van I knew someone to call from the yard that could come help me, or I had friends that could come help me.
That's one of the unique things about model railroading is the fellowship.
My kids feel like they had uncles and granddads and all of these people around them, and they all hosted their birthday party at the Railroad Museum with him. So they feel included when they don't have that family inclusion otherwise.
Right.
So,
and you are the social media manager for the NMRA now.
I swore I would never do social media management again, but yes, here I am, and I love it. It's been so fun.
Okay, because lately on the podcast, we kind of came up with a new mandate because the podcast is 10 years old this year, and about 2 years, we've always promoted the NMRA.
Yes, we thank you for that.
And it was the NMRA that got Uncle Gordy, got him elected because we all fell in behind him and decided this is our guy. And we got him elected. We literally, the AML Nation, got Gordy Robinson elected, and we're very proud of that. And
Thank goodness you guys did.
And now there's a lot of diversification in the board of directors, which is what we need. But lately, and it's still, the NMRA is like a really kind of old world kind of an organization. Kind of moves at a snail's pace. Gordy's doing everything he can, as along with Riley Triggs and Gert Muller and John Doring and Martin Jenkins and our buddy Andy Zimmerman, Standards and Conformances.
I love Andy. He's great.
Andy's a great guy. So they're all working really hard. But I think that the direction that the NMRA, because we were talking to Andy Zimmerman one night on the podcast, and Gordy does the same thing. When they start talking about the benefits of the NMRA, they talk about the standards and conformances. And finally I said to Gordy one night, I said, nobody cares.
I'm so glad that you said that. Because one of the things that was interesting when I started the museum is I knew that I needed to be affiliated with a model railroad club, but I didn't have one. So I didn't know anybody. So the first thing I did was kind of Google, and I went to the NMRA, and I didn't know where to go, and I felt overwhelmed because I didn't know anybody, and all the lingo I didn't understand. So I think one of the goals of my job is to try to make that new modeler feel like they're home, because we're out there. We're just not showcasing them as much.
And so from that, I said to Gordy, nobody cares about standards and conformances, and I didn't want to hurt Andy's feelings. Now, I think standards and conformances are very, very important part of the NMRA, but it's kind of like if you went to buy a new car and they told you what size the tie rod was. You don't care.
No.
My wife doesn't care.
No.
She just wants to know if the radio plays and it sounds nice.
Right.
And we came up with the mantra of we feel the way the NMRA is going to advance and grow is by 3 words. Would you like to know what those are?
I would love to know them.
Fellowship, fellowship, fellowship.
That is what it's about. We are the mothership. We're the place where everyone should feel home, but we're also the place that should be supporting everybody in the hobby industry to make sure that you guys have everything that you need. So kind of like the mothership, if you will. I saw that at the museum a lot. We had one kid who was on the spectrum, and he would come up there, and nobody else would work with him. He drove me nuts a little bit, but he was wonderful. And when I saw him catch his first heritage unit, that is a feeling that I will never forget. And I think the NMRA has a chance to have that same type of fellowship for not even just people like that, but families. It is a family sport, if you will. My husband is getting on board whether he likes it or not. Just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we think. So that's where what we're pushing here. Now, how did you get the job as social media manager?
So it's kind of funny because when I first was going to move to Memphis, one of the NMRA members, Gerald Mabry, I don't know if anybody knows him. He's probably going to kill me that I said his name on this. He told me there might be a possibility, but I had kind of forgotten about it. So when I got to Memphis, I actually started working at Atlantic Track and Turnout Company as their shipping and receiving manager.
Atlantic Track and Turnout?
Yeah, so I have learned enough about track components and CSX packs and all this stuff that I never thought I would have known. I had to learn to calculate.
Do it again.
Sorry.
Hey, Gordy's taking our picture now.
He's totally taking our picture.
Yeah.
So I started working for them doing shipping and receiving. So
Atlantic Track and Turnout Company.
Yeah, so
I've never even heard of them.
They make different rail components. They work a lot with like RJ Corman. So we build track panels, different turnouts, and they're all fabricated there in Memphis.
Well, now this is getting really interesting. Atlantic Track and Turnout Company works a lot with RJ Corman. So you probably never heard of RJ Corman until you started working for them.
Oh, no, I heard of RJ Corman because they stage our equipment at the museum sometimes. So I had a little bit of that backing before. I just didn't have any of the model train backing, essentially. Like most of my connections are in the industry side because those are the people I had to work with to get equipment for festivals and things like that and fundraising. So I was busy doing the more preservation and festival planning side, the logistics of stuff, while our model club I was there to support them, essentially.
Right.
I ran to get supplies a lot because they never had what they needed. It was always something. But those guys, man, they would have done anything for me. That layout that we had, actually, the gentleman that he passed away during COVID and his wife donated it to us. And they went, 3 of them, dismantled the whole thing, brought it all over, built me a brand new table for it, and had it up by Christmas with running lines. And this was in like November.
Wow.
So from November to December, I gave them like not even 4 weeks to get me a layout up and running. And they did it. I don't know how.
So anyways, you're at the Atlantic Track and Turnout Company.
I'm there. So I've been working there for about 6 months, and it was brutal because the drive was an hour into work on 240 in Memphis, which is never fun and also not very safe. And with us being new to Memphis, we didn't have any family in town. So I was at the point where I was like, okay, this is not working for me. I'm going to have to do something else. I was thinking about just completely leaving the industry. I was done. I was like, I'll just go be a stay-at-home mom because I love my kids and I enjoy them. And randomly, I get a message from Christina, and she's like, hey, we might be looking for someone to do social media. Would you be interested? And I was like, absolutely. One of the things I like about the model hobby is that you guys still enjoy it. In the industry side, they're not really having fun where they are sometimes. So it's nice to be able to have fun while I work again, if that makes sense. So that was what I was used to. So, and don't get me wrong, I liked my job as shipping and receiving manager, and I learned so much there. But I enjoy this much more.
Okay, so what do you see for the future of this? What do you see? What caught you? What surprised you the most about the hobby? Then once you got hired on.
I did not realize that there were so many veins to this organization. It's huge. I mean, there's just people spread out everywhere. I think, too, one of the things we see a lot of lone wolves on TikTok, and they don't even know who we are. And now that we're on TikTok, we're finding some of them. So I hope that the future will bring more women, more men and younger generations, their sons, their daughters. I mean, you've got people like Chris Raines. I don't know if you know him, RPB Trains, which is not scale, but my son loves him because he's hilarious. And he's got 2 little girls that model with him. And he's like in his 30s. I want to see more of that.
What's it called again?
His Chris RPB Trains. He's a Lionel guy, so he's 3-rail, which is actually the reason our first set was a 3-rail.
Right. There's nothing wrong with 3-rail.
We got a Lion Chief, little 280 for him because the engine we were doing in Meridian was a 280. So we hadn't started any scenery yet, and so when I got here, I was super overwhelmed. But I saw the T-Track N scale. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to start doing some T-Track models and just doing them online, live, some of them with my son, and we're just going to have fun with it.
Okay. And so what do you plan on doing from a social, like, I feel like the NMRA is kind of like, it's not a secret, but it's bass backwards.
There's a lot of moving parts to it that I think sometimes are hard to make sense to. I think just from what I've heard this weekend and the board meetings and stuff, there are so many great things coming and a plan for that. The way Gordy put it on one of our other podcast interviews with around the Roundhouse with Nick Orzak, he was saying, he's awesome. He helped me on the preservation side.
There you go.
Which was ironic. But
he's got a great podcast, and I love Nick. He's such a fine young man.
He is, and he's connected with like all of those women. So we actually have a women in rail preservation group.
Really?
Too. Yeah. So Hannah Brooks is one of them. She's a fireman. She can hot rivet a boiler probably better than anyone else. And she's blonde, and she's like 5 foot. It's awesome. She doesn't want you to take her picture, though. And then Casey, she fires on the Cast Scenic, and Rudy. So I knew all of them, and Nick. So when I made this segue over, it was kind of nice because they were all at our operating session last night with the NMRA, and I was like, I am hanging out with my preservation friends doing model trains. This is my dream right now. And I'd known them for almost 4 years and never met them in person until I came here.
Let me ask you a hardball question.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is sort of a semi-hardball question, but I feel like the podcast here, I want to avoid the BS and get right to the point.
I'm down with that.
So do you feel like you really enjoy trains, or are you just, oh gosh, I really like trains because you're trying to fit into the job and all that?
I've been doing this for 5 years, and if you don't know me and you haven't looked at my Facebook page, then you clearly haven't given me a chance yet. Because if you took a chance, you would see me in a jacket inside of a boiler working on it.
Okay.
I grew up with my granddad restoring old IC formal tractors, or
right.
what is it? Yeah, and he just passed away in Thanksgiving time. So this, in some way, is my way of preserving his legacy, and that was kind of always it. You know, we're here to tell the stories of railroaders and to keep their stories alive, and that's why I do what I do. I don't do it for attention. I don't do it because I like posting my face on Facebook. I do it because that will bring other people to this hobby that I know is amazing. It's all a tactic with social media, and sometimes it looks a little weird, or it looks like, you know, it's for something else, but it's not. That's how influencing works, you know.
Well, yeah,
the more people see it, the more they'll want to do it, and they'll just start.
I personally believe that social media, I believe that Al Gore invented the internet specifically for model railroaders because it has brought so much energy to the hobby and has connected people so much.
I think we just needed to come a little bit out of the dinosaur age to help assist with that as an NMRA. And I think, you know, between what you guys are doing on your podcast, and then you've got people that are doing YouTube series and TikTok channels. I was live on TikTok last night at 2 a.m. with Split Rock and Mining and some other people. But we just need to bring it all together. And I think there's a lot more room for inclusion in the whole industry between preservation, Class 1, and model railroading, because we all support each other. It is a railroading community. It's a culture. So the more we all start working together, the quicker we're going to get where we want to go.
Fellowship.
Exactly. Spot on.
I mean, I constantly talk to Gordy about the price. I think the price is way too high for what people are getting right now. I mean, I think you could have the price of the NMRA at, I don't know, a third of what it is now. And the NMRA is the umbrella we live under. Mm-hmm. And you'd get a lot more members because people wouldn't feel like they're investing so much. Not that $70 a year is a lot of money, but the problem is, with the podcast, all you got to do is turn on your phone or your radio, and boom, it's right there. Mm-hmm. With the NMRA, you got to do a lot of work to get yourself involved and to get something out of the NMRA.
You used to, but now it's starting to get a little bit more.
That's the key. Like, I'm
active.
more than happy to use the podcast to get people attuned to it, but
here's my thing. If you want change, be the change. If you want to see a different NMRA, get involved. You are only going to get out what you put in. So with that being said, I mean, I think that when people are talking about cost, I'm like, do you love the hobby $70 worth a year? Do you love the hobby that much? Do you want it to be successful? Do you believe in what we're doing? It shouldn't be that difficult. I think people have gotten away from the fact that we are here to support the hobby. And the more you guys support us, the more we can do that. So, yes, we are a place for communion and fellowship. Yes, we are a place for scale. We are a place for all of the things. And the more support that we have from you, the more we can add to that.
Yeah, but see, that's part of the problem I see is it's kind of the thing Gordy or anybody else will say. If you want to get anything out of the NMRA, you got to volunteer. You got to get involved, blah, blah, blah. And with 15,000 plus members, most of them don't want to get involved. They just want to join the organization and get what they get out of it. I mean, volunteers are one type of person. So I feel like if we keep beating the bushes, like you got to volunteer, you don't have to volunteer to listen to this podcast. All you got to do is turn it on. Every Monday, it's free.
I think the difference is, though, is that, I don't know. I mean, I can see what you're saying with that, but the big point is that it's not just like getting involved and like doing what you want to do. Like for every one volunteer, you're probably going to have maybe 3 or 4 that don't want to, okay? Right. That's just how it is. Like with Meridian Railroad Museum, I did that all by myself for 2 years because I loved it. I cared about it that much. And so watching Gordy do this, he's doing that right now. He's passionate enough about that he is literally like giving himself to our hobby for us.
Absolutely.
So I will do that right behind that man any day of the week that he wants me to because I believe in what he's doing and I want to go with him. He said on one of the podcasts, that was what I was getting at. I'm so ADHD. Creative brains is a thing. He kind of referred to it as we're a fleet of ships, right? And we're all going in one direction, which is the wrong direction. But we've all slowly started to turn. It's not going to happen right away.
No,
you don't turn a whole fleet of ships at once. So be patient, support us, love us, share our stuff, and tell us how we can help you. The more we know of what you want out of the NMRA, the more we can give you what you want out of the NMRA, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but that sounds a little old world. I think it's time for somebody like Lucy Dormont to show up and go, yeah, that's the old world. We need a whole new approach.
there is some of that already happening behind the scenes. So there's a lot of things going on. We realize a need for streamlining. We realize a need for more consistency in branding and things like that. We realize these things. We know. But again, the ship is starting to turn. The culture is starting to change. I think the culture is one of the biggest things, too, because you've got all these generations. Some of them may yell at you. Might be 70 and he might not know that he yelled at you. He didn't mean to. That's just how he talks to people. And in his generation, that was normal. But little Lucy, who's 33, it broke my heart and I'm going to go cry. He didn't mean anything by it.
Right.
We just need a culture change, helping people understand how to talk to each other. Don't just go and tell a modder, hey, that really sucks. Be like, hey, I like how you did this. That looks pretty good. That could work. But maybe you could try it this way too. There's a positive way to do things. I worked at a place called the Little Gym for 10 years teaching kids, and it's all about specific positive feedback and directive practice, because if you just tell someone what they did wrong, they are never going to remember what they did right. So we have to build the community up. So I think with the culture change, I think with the presence on social media, I think with the plans coming behind the scenes to fix all of the things, which is going to take time, we're going to see a different NMRA. We're already seeing a different NMRA. I mean...
Well, if you'd like to be on the podcast again in the future, I should probably warn you. We're not like other podcasts.
I can see that.
We will ask. I will be asking you. Okay, so what happened? Blah blah blah. Or you might give me a specific. And is it going to happen? Because the NMRA is like right on the cusp of either screwing this up royally, or advancing at great lengths. And it's like I said, it's fellowship.
Yep.
John Doring described that to me perfectly when he said, when you start to get into model railroading or scale model railroading, or you want to get a little bit more serious about it, you're kind of standing on the outside of the castle.
Yes.
But when you get into the castle, it's like, well, it's not really about model railroading at all. It's about being part of this community and the people and everything.
I felt both sides of that, honestly, though. I think, like, take yesterday, for instance. I was so overwhelmed by this show, and I had no idea what kind of layout I wanted to do. And I was talking with Andy about it, about how overwhelmed I was. And he's like, well, let me show you something. So there's the education part. So he walks me over, shows me the T-track models, and helps me realize, like, if you do it on a smaller scale, it's not as overwhelming. So sometimes those connections also turn to education. And I'm seeing that all the way around. I've been educated from the start a little too much. My brain is full of stuff that's kind of exploding out of my ears at the moment. But, yeah, I mean... Yes, you are getting the fellowship out of it, and I think that is getting more. It's just getting better and better every day. So.
Okay, let me put it this way. Like, I don't feel like you have to build a layout. Like, I don't feel like you need to think to yourself, well, to be part of this and to really do my job well, I got to build a layout. I don't see that at all. I see that you just have to be enthusiastic and understand what the organization is. I think that's been another kind of. Every woman that comes in to get involved, what are you modeling? What are you doing? Well, it's like, no. It's like, I mean...
I see it opposite, because to inspire, I have to do. And honestly, I already have a layout. And if you want to ask me what my favorite train is, I have a bucket list train that I've had on my list for probably the last 4 years that I would die if I saw it in person. So this is not just a job for me. I mean, I got lucky. I got very lucky, and part of the reason I got lucky is because I worked so hard in Meridian.
Well, exactly.
And everybody knew that I'm a passionate person, which shoots me in the foot sometimes because it takes over my life. My poor husband has to hear about trains all the time.
Exactly.
But he's so supportive of it because he knows that it makes me feel happy, and that is why I'm here.
Well,
I am here for no other reason. To help the NMRA, to help the community, to help things grow. And I was involved in the model community before then.
And I'm sure that sometimes you might make an announcement without having done the research and realizing there's other people you could possibly offend.
I think that that's a thing. And I think, too, one of the things I'm learning, as much as I try to do all of the inclusion, there's a lot of you out there that are kind of spread out that I don't know about.
That's a hard job to get to know everything.
It is. And I mean, the NMRA alone, learning that and all of that stuff is insane. I mean, my head is still full of stuff, but over time, even just being here has helped me so much because I've gotten to meet our partners face to face. I've gotten to meet you face to face. You guys don't know me from Adam, so now that you do a little bit more, I'm hoping that the transition will be a little bit easier for me, and I'll start to feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't even have imagined what this was like.
Wasn't intentional, and I have to say, I did other podcasts as well. I did 3 other podcasts.
Absolutely.
And I did want to do one with you. I just didn't know that you were available or you had time, and I also was very busy. They just happened to reach out to me before,
Absolutely.
so I apologize that happened.
I didn't even know who you were.
Well, do you follow our social media? Because they posted like a whole bunch of stuff about me when I started, like my biography and everything.
I really actually don't follow the social media on the NMRA because I find it to be confusing and annoying and aggravating. Because
have you even now?
I'm working on it, but it's like
you hate my emojis. Go ahead, say it.
No. It's not that. It's not that. It's that I'm very passionate about it, and I just feel like it's time to one of the things I'll say to Gordy is enough with the divisions. We got 1 million divisions out there, and we've got hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. And if we could get rid of the divisions and streamline the organization a bit better, enough with doing it like we did it in 1960.
I think we're seeing that now. And what's ironic is I talked to the guy that's with Toy Collectors Association yesterday, and he said the exact same thing. He said, we are losing people every year. They are dying, and we are not in a positive gain.
Exactly.
And I think it's funny that you say that because they are still stuck in the dinosaur age technology-wise, and they actually have hired a lady to do their social media, so I got to talk with her. She doesn't have any background in the rail industry at all, and so I was trying to make her feel comfortable and take her and introduce people because the rail industry as a whole does not know how to market.
No.
Like class ones, museums, you got a few museums out there that are killing it, like Michelle, that do know what they're doing, but there's not a good example from the start, so I'm hoping that we can start to change some of that and connect. We need a marketing group for all of these people to get together and discuss what's going on in our industry.
Well, how about if we do this? We will let you use this podcast. Just call me up whenever you want to get on the podcast and talk about something or something that's, because it doesn't always have to be for an hour. It can be for 15 minutes. And
I would love that. I'm very stretched thin at home, too. I have 2 small boys, a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old, and it's just me. And he's gone a lot. So he still drills with the Navy. So scheduling things is hard for me sometimes. But everyone's been so great. Would you be willing to do an evening one with me sometime?
Absolutely. That's actually when we do most of our podcasts.
I get them to bed. I'm all clear, usually.
All you got to do is I will give you my cell phone number.
Perfect.
And you can text me anytime. Because I want to support the NMRA and make it grow.
We want you to, and we want to support you too.
And I don't necessarily agree with everything that's been done, but one thing that I will, this will give you a good example of where my mind is. How do I describe this? There are probably 20 or 30 people here that got their trips paid for by the NMRA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't object to that necessarily.
Okay.
But it's an old world thing that the board of directors and department heads and things like that got free trips and their travels.
I did that for my museum, mainly because I needed to keep them.
Okay, let me finish. Sorry. And where do you? The problem is people that are, say, presidents of regions or divisions, they get nothing. They get nothing. They don't even get gas money. They don't get nothing, and yet. The board of directors will constantly go, well, we got to have volunteers. Well, maybe if you bought them a box of donuts, you'd get more volunteers. But, it's like the money is it's like they have this money pit. So that's like something that,
It depends on how it's structured. And I mean, honestly, I'm so new that I don't even want to speak on this.
Exactly. And you shouldn't.
I shouldn't. But I will say that, I know they're all structured a little bit differently, and I know that there are other ways that we can be supporting them, and I think that that's where I come in. I think we're going to try to start adding more value from the top, so they do feel appreciated and valued, giving them the resources they need so they don't have to create them themselves, so they can go out and solicit memberships. I'm going to be doing things like going into schools and advertising the NMRA. I'm going to be partnering with Operation Lifesaver, taking a layout and doing a course. So that will support divisions because they will see me do that. They will get an idea. They will go do it themselves, and then they will be actively promoting the NMRA and the hobby in the community.
Well, we have an awful lot of listeners, so you should use this podcast as one of your tools.
I would love that. And anytime you guys need anything from me, you can reach me at engage@nmra.org. I am always happy for feedback as long as it's constructive and nice. I like my SPF and my DP, okay? Say something nice. If you're going to tell me something wrong, tell me something nice first, okay? And then maybe sandwich it with something nice afterwards.
Yeah.
My poor husband.
The hamburger method.
The hamburger method. I'm a little sensitive, okay? Not really. Well, yes.
But people shouldn't just, it shouldn't be about just complaining, though.
That's the thing. Anytime someone complains or says something negative, I just can't. Because we're not going that direction. We're going positive. So,
but to give you credit, this is a very old organization with a lot of deep roots where, no matter what you say, somebody's going to get offended.
Yes.
I mean, I constantly offend people, and it's good. It's something I do well.
Well, it asks the tough questions is what I think. And I think one of the things is they're not going to love everything that I do. Listen, I posted some Lionel stuff on there. Do you know how much crap Gordy got for that?
Which is ridiculous.
Well, and here's the thing. There's a place that we can feel included everywhere. And the great thing about Lionel, because we love them. They're great. They have some followers that we can expose to the scale world. So, my son started with Lionel train set. And now we're going in scale T-track. So we got to do the progression somewhere. Everyone is welcome here. I love everybody.
Well, whether you're modeling Lego, whether you're modeling 3-rail O-gauge Lionel, whether you're doing, HO scale model railroading, rivet counting, it's all model railroading.
You do what makes you feel happy. And I met the young lady. What's her name?
I don't know.
Someone has a cool channel, and she just creates whatever she wants on her layout.
Okay.
I kind of want to do some oddball stuff like that too. You don't see too many non-traditional kind of layouts. And I met a couple the other day that said a 6-year-old girl created a T-track in-scale module, and she has pink glittery mountains. And then I found out that in China there is a bedazzled steam engine. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to ruin the industry or the hobby with bedazzles. Well, but there's space for creation.
Yeah, like one of the things you have to learn is the different levels. There's
right.
Some guys, it's very, very scale model railroading. It's modeling railroads to scale.
Right.
There's other people in O-gauge or Lionel. There's other people that bedazzle locomotives. And you need to learn what the different groups are.
Yes. And because I want to be there to support all those groups, Matt, no matter what it is. But I do want some cheese balls, actually. I hear that you're only part of the group if you eat the cheese balls. And I definitely want the cheese ball. What's the story with the cheese balls?
They're fun.
They're fun. Do you guys throw them at each other or just eat them?
No, one day I was driving to the show and I pulled into this gas station and they were I had a sale on buckets of cheese balls, so I bought 3 buckets and I stuck them on the
table. Any good person would. Let me buy 3 buckets of cheese balls. That just sounds like a great idea. It does to me.
A lot of times I take pictures with a bucket of cheese balls under my arm.
That's y'all's thing now. It's who you are. It was what makes you happy, and that's what everybody needs to remember. This is AML Nation's thing. This is y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
We love you for that. So, yeah.
All right. Well, the AML Nation is at your beck and call whenever you need us.
Thank you so much, and I am also yours.
All right.
Anytime you guys need me.
All right.
Thank you.
Say goodbye, Lucy.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Lucy.
Goodbye, Lucy.
So, Scooter.
Yes.
What did you think of those interviews?
Wow.
Wow.
They were absolutely stunning.
Which one was your favorite?
I would say out of all of them, I really enjoyed Lucy's.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
She's very engaged. Yeah, she's very engaged, very excited about being the social media manager of the NMRA.
And you can just tell by the way she presents herself with it. Yep.
She is full of energy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what people used to describe me, that word, bubbly. That's what they say. Yeah, they call me bubbly. What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing.
No, it's not laughing.
He had the vision of Mr. Bubbles popping.
Yeah. It sounded like
Bubbles or whatever.
It sounded like laughing to me.
Yeah, it was.
Bubbles. No, I'm not laughing.
Yeah, it was.
It was a gentle guffaw.
Well, which one did you like doing the best? Or not the best? Which one did you enjoy doing?
Well, I always enjoy talking to Ray Persing because we talk about his son and how his son is doing.
Yeah.
And I always enjoy talking to Cale Leifert because of the Lego. Actually, all these people, Lucy and John and Cale and Ken McQuarrie and Ray, I enjoy talking to them all because this year I had gotten 2 director's chairs because I stole Bruce's idea. It was blatant plagiarism. I just stole Bruce's idea.
I threw the idea out there as a possibility, and apparently you thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, and
it was a good idea.
I just stole it.
Yeah,
I stole the idea. And so then I had these 2 great director's chairs. One was obviously mine because it had my name on it. And the only person I ever caught sitting in it was... Who did I catch sitting in it?
Kevin?
Was it Kevin?
Somebody was over there talking to me one time was sitting in it.
Yeah, and I came back and I'm like, What are you doing?
I sat in it, but I made sure that I wasn't sitting in it when you got there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
smart. You saw him running and hightailed it away.
Oh, I was keeping it warm for him.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So anyways, all these interviews were done at the booth, and they all turned out pretty darn good.
Indeed.
Yeah. I'm always
considering the amount of noise in that place.
Yeah,
it's surprising how little of that comes through on the equipment you're using. It just cancels all that out, and then you got good, clear interviews with the people. It's great.
It's something to do with the microphones. There's two kinds of microphones: condenser and what's the other one? There's condenser, dynamic, and condenser.
There you go.
And I still to this day have no idea what the difference is. But
I think one of them cancels out the exterior noises a little bit.
Yeah, the microphones I have are like $250 each, so they're like top of the line for handheld microphones. And I always
they definitely sound good. That's for sure.
They sure do. And that little machine, and you get that kind of sound out of that little machine, and you get all these great interviews.
Yeah.
And then the next...
That is kind of hard to believe. That little thing is what you're actually recording on, and that's where the sound goes. That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's like the size of a deck of cards, isn't it?
Yeah, about.
I'd say it's like the size of 2 decks of cards end to end or something.
Yeah. And does those batteries, I guess, and that last all day, don't they? I mean,
they last a long time. They're like, takes 2 AA batteries, and that'll do like 3 or 4 hours of recording. I always try to keep the pretty fresh batteries in it, but I think you could do 2 or 3 hours of recording on them.
That's pretty amazing. Wow.
Yep. I think I was doing early on, I was doing an interview with somebody and the batteries ran out, and I kind of went to myself, I'm not doing that again. So when it starts to get down, gets down it has 3 bars. And when it gets down to the second bar, I'm like looking for my new batteries.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's like on my golf cart. It has this digital readout for how much power you got left in the batteries. And
Do you like that better than the old needle?
Oh, way better.
Okay.
It's way better. It's much more accurate. And it just like, 1 bar goes out and it's still green.
Oh, okay. I got you. But I know what you're talking about.
It's about 8 bars across. And works.
So you ever do the Kramer and get it right down to there's nothing shown and see how far you can go before you run out?
No. I've done that with I did that with my car.
I did that yesterday with my truck and went to the gas station I normally go to, and it was out of gas.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a horrible feeling.
How far was it to the next gas station?
Too far.
So what did you do?
I went to the house and got my lawnmower gas and put it in my truck to make it to the next gas station.
So how far did you walk?
This is the way he tells these stories.
No, I did.
No.
I'm telling you.
You said to me, I made it to the gas station and they had no gas.
They didn't.
And then the next thing we hear is you went to your garage and got your lawnmower gas can and put it into the truck.
Yeah.
So obviously you were able to drive from the gas station to your home or to your garage.
Well, to the garage, but see, I wasn't planning on going to the garage. It's only like a half a mile to the garage.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But if I would have went home, I would have never made it back to a gas. I would have made it home from that gas station with what little gas I had left because the light had come on earlier. And I know from experience how long I have before it stops running.
Yeah.
This has got to be like the worst podcast in all.
This is riveting because I almost ran out of gas. If it wouldn't have been the lucky day, I still had gas in a gas can from back in the summer from needing it. So I was actually surprised I had some.
So you have no real problem running out of gas because you got all these holdings with gas in there.
Well, no, I don't really, but that was luck of the draw there.
A couple years ago, my son is forever, doing a Kramer on his, and I kept bugging him. You got to put gas in your car. Yeah. So finally heads out one night to put gas in his car to close the station, and a few minutes later get a call. Dad, can you bring me the gas can? Yeah, where are you? So about 100 feet from the gas station.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
And of course, being the goods, I pulled up behind him and got a couple pictures to post on Facebook before I took the gas.
I'll give you one worse than that, Bruce. My wife had a flat tire, and she calls me up and says, "You got to come over here and help me change the tire." And I go over there and I said, "Why didn't you just go right across the street to the tire store?" I didn't realize there was a tire store across the street until I got there. She gave me directions to where she was at. And I'm like, wow, you could have just went across the street and had it fixed. And but anyway.
And then there's one other time we were living in Newcastle. I was working in Whitby, Ontario, just east of Toronto. And friends from we knew we were up in Ottawa, they came down to visit, and Gene drove me to work. Last words are, put gas in before you go everywhere. Then you need gas in the thing. So I was fine and dandy till about 4 o'clock or so. I get a call from our friend. She's at the local constabulary just off the 401 in Newcastle where we live. And we got somebody run out of gas. And so I said, well, there's about by the time you get the tow truck out there, there's about a $50 gallon of gas you need to get to the gas station. But put gas in before you go in, or it's slow. Yeah. So, the car's not working. Yeah, it's out of gas.
That's like, I know I've told the story about the time I was trying to start my generator. Was it my generator? Yeah, it was my generator. And I pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled. And I could not get this thing started. And I changed the spark plugs. And I did this and I did that. And I did the next thing. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this thing's out of gas. This is like an hour later. And, and I look at the cap and it's like dead empty.
Yeah. And your back's broken from pulling so much. I know. Yeah.
My other running out of gas story was about, I guess it's like 6 or 7 years ago. I'm bombing down I-95 just north of the Florida border. And I know what exit I'm going to take. I exit like 3 or something where there's like a ton of gas stations. And I'm flying down there pulling my trailer and my motorcycle. And I'm like, I can almost see the exit that I'm getting off at. And, I'm flying down the outside lane, and all of a sudden the thing just goes, bleh. And I'm like changing lanes trying to get over, and I put it in neutral and I coast a little ways. And I'm like, I'm out of gas. Like that, cause I was pulling the trailer and it sucks gas like it's going out of style. And I'm like, I'm dead empty. And I'm like a mile and a half from the exit on the side of I-95. On a blisteringly hot day. And I'm thinking, oh, geez. All right. Well, I guess there's nothing else. And then I'm like, well, I could get the bike out of there. I guess I could take the bike out of the trailer and ride the bike down there. So I'm getting ready. I'm opening the back door of the trailer. And this road ranger pulls up behind me. Like one of those highway road rangers. And he says, you got trouble? And I'm like, yeah, I'm out of gas. He said, no problem. And he puts a couple of gallons in it and I start it up. And I said, how many of you guys are out here? And he says, I'm the only guy out here today. And I said, well, where's your territory? He said, all of Georgia.
Wow.
I said, one end of the state to the other. It's like 120 miles or something. And he says, yeah. And he had just pulled onto the highway on the other side when he saw me off the road getting ready to unload my bike. And he took the next exit and came around. That was like the luckiest thing that ever happened to me.
Wow. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad used to do it all the time. He used to love coasting into a gas station. Now this is like the 60s.
Yeah, my dad did as well.
Yeah, he thought that was hilarious, And he would do it. My dad would do it where we're going down a hill and he'd put it in neutral and he'd coast for a ways. He said, "Let's see how far we can get."
And then slinging the car back and forth, sloshing around.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember those days. Wow.
Those were the good old days.
Yep, those were the good old days.
Yeah. All right. Before we had the podcast. It was just before we had the podcast, like 30, 40
Right. Just right before it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Oh, you know what we never did? I knew I would forget. This is on the free channel.
Oh. Can you splice it in?
I guess I'll have to. Well, you know what? Between so people know what happened. After we did our intro, I put in a commercial there.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
And because our sponsor is Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Hey, Scooter.
Yeah.
At that train show you were at, last weekend on Saturday
that
you never told us about, so that we could have doubled the size of their crowd.
Yep.
Did they sell Rapido trains?
Fast Track to Model Railroading Fun.
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
Tons and tons of them, actually.
Beautiful.
What'd you buy?
Well, I didn't buy anything.
Okay. Well, just asking.
I was just there for show only.
You seem kind of...
Hey, Scott, here's a question for you. At your show, was there anybody there with a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
You know, there was not. We need to fix that, don't we?
Yeah, you could. Well, which AML shirts did you wear to the show?
I wore my gray one, and then my other gray one, and then my blue one.
I thought it was only 2 days.
Well, today, or that day I set up.
On setup day.
Yeah, I wore my blue one.
Oh, okay.
And then Friday I wore the gray one, and then the Saturday I wore the gray one with the kind of messed up emblem on it, which is my favorite.
So you mean today, which was last Thursday?
Right.
Okay. Can you?
Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. You got it. You're starting to catch. You're hanging.
Catching on.
Yeah, you're catching on to this whole thing.
Can you lip sync?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure can.
No problem, eh?
No problem.
No problemo.
No problemo.
I didn't know Bob Jones University was in Greenville.
Oh yeah.
That's just down the road from Bob Jones Chevrolet.
Yeah, it is.
Jeez. First time I ever saw a bus with Bob Jones University on it, I was with my mother-in-law in Florida, even before my son was born. And we pull up behind this bus that says Bob Jones University. And I say, "Hey, Bob Jones University, that's just down the street from Bob Jones Chevrolet." I thought it was.
It's amazing how many people from Michigan and Massachusetts and that area go to that school.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah, it's loaded with them.
I find it hard to believe that anybody would enroll in a university called Bob Jones University.
It's BJU.
BJU.
Oh, jeez.
That's it. That's the name of it. And then Furman's FU over here.
There you go.
What's that?
Furman University. It's FU.
Okay. Same to you, buddy.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. That's it. We're done.
No.
Well, I'm getting to the part where we're getting
okay.
done.
All right. Okay.
We're done with the...
we're done with the lead-in banter.
Well, we're done with the frivolity.
Okay.
We're done with that stuff.
All right.
So, Bruce, can you give out our email address?
Yes, our email address is modlerslife@gmail.com. That's Modler with one L, like, and not two L's, like local.
Okay.
That was a good one.
That wasn't bad.
I like it. Liked it.
You liked it?
Mm-hmm.
One L like Buffalo. We've never used Buffalo.
No.
Or one L like Walgreens. And if you missed that address, if you go to our website, which is amodelerslife.com, and you just scroll down a bit, there's a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And all you got to do is click on that, and boom, you can send us an email. You just fill in your text and hit send, and we will get your email, and we love to get email.
We do love emails.
We do love emails. You answered one the other day, Bruce, where you said
thank somebody for writing in. Yes.
But I'm convinced they were thinking of a different podcast.
Well, you never know, but beggars can't be choosers, right?
And if you'd like, Kelly?
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
Yeah, I definitely do.
If you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and scroll across the navigation bar to other,
yeah,
and click on the drop down menu. You can see AML shop, and in there is a wonderland of AML merchandise: hats, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs, whatever you could possibly need. And in there, you'll find a T-shirt with a hot dog on it. But if you want to buy some Rapido trains,
your fast track to model railroading fun,
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
You go back to the main part of the website, and they have over 11,000 items, and in there you will find all the Rapido trains you could possibly need.
Beautiful.
I think that's it. Oh yeah, and if you like this podcast, and we're not well, the guests were great. The introduction and the outro were a little rough, but the guests were great.
Hired help is hard to find, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you like this, podcast and you like to listen to have twice as much, you can go to our Patreon channel, and there's a link on the podcast website, amodelerslife.com. Click on that, and you can join our Patreon channel. And for just a few cents a day, you can have twice as much podcasting a week as you'd like. And but then, if you'd like to enter our "When Will I Get My T-Shirt" contest, which is you will get your T-shirt. It's just kind of foggy about when you will get it. You can go to the
fun game to play.
It's a great game to play. You know what? It's sweeping the nation.
I know.
Coming viral. It's everybody wants to play. Do the home version of "When Will I Get My T-Shirt."
And it was fun handing out the shirts at Springfield.
Yeah, and you handed out a couple where it said $20 on it.
I got it, and I gave it to you.
Did you? There was like 3 of them. You only gave me $20.
Oh, I didn't see. I saw one. I just saw one.
I'm sorry.
I didn't. What did you think the $20 meant? There's $20. There's $20 inside.
I really should have asked. I was just thinking it was written on. I don't really know why it was written on there, but I probably should have asked.
Jesus.
My mistake. I'll give you $20.
Yeah, a couple of times.
I was wondering why he just kept standing there looking at me. I thought, no, you're good. Go on.
Anyways, join our Patreon channel. You'll have twice as much fun, and you'll be glad you did. I think we're done now. Yeah, I'm getting all hot and sweaty.
There you go.
All right.
Can I do it?
Sure.
I got one.
Okay. Okay. So remember, A Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
people who attended a model railroad show not publicized by the AML. Oh.
And the lights all went down in Massachusetts the day I left, standing on the road, trying to hitch a ride to San Francisco. Got to do the things I got to do, and the lights all went down in Massachusetts.
Mr. Strang's Wardrobe provided by The Dashing Camper. For all your fashion and tent repair needs, trust The Dashing Camper.
It's another Lincoln Homer.